This here is the Wacom Intuos Pro, the 2013 version. Now, if you're a beginner getting started in digital art and you're looking at this as your first drawing tablet, easy there, Tiger. This is probably way more than you need right now and costs quite a bit more than you really have to spend starting out. But if you happen to come across one secondhand in really good condition and at a good price like I did, well, then this could be a solid option, knowing that it's going to last and gives you plenty of room to grow into over time. Let's take a look. Hello, Ryan here. I'm an artist. I paint on canvas, I paint on walls, I paint on caps, shoes, skateboards, all that kind of thing. But for the most part, I'm painting digitally these days. And over the last few months, I've been reviewing some of Wacom's older Intuos tablets and also XP Pen's Deco Pro, which was my main one for about 2 years. Now though, I'm using this 2013 Intuos Pro Medium. Before I talk about the tablet, I just want to say thank you to those of you who've been watching those other tablet videos, who've been sharing your experiences, leaving your comments. It's been great to hear about your experiences with those tablets and see who of you are still actually using them today, so many years after their release. You know, reviewing those older tablets was a great way for me to kind of get familiar with the tech and get comfortable with making these kinds of videos before I move on to more recent products coming out. I'm really stoked that they've actually been interesting and valuable to people, especially those who are only now getting their hands on one of those older tablets and have come to my videos with questions. So high fives to all of you. Now let's talk about this Intuos Pro. This is the 2013 medium version and I picked this up for about $125. Now I got lucky here, I'll admit. That price was really good and I wasted no time getting in touch with the seller about it. Instead of the original packaging, I got it in this really nice Wacom bag, slightly padded so the tablet fits nice and snug in there. Anyway, the 2013 version is a bit bigger than the 2019 one. There they trimmed off a lot of the sides, leaving it with a much smaller footprint, so that was really nice for people with limited desk space while still getting to have the same amount of working area. The tablet just took up a lot less space on their desk. The medium size is 8 by 6 inches roughly. As much as I enjoyed working with the large Intuos 4, the medium size is really the sweet spot for me. It's got 8 express keys along the side, 6 in the smaller version though. The touch ring in the middle is really responsive and can have 4 functions programmed into it. The tablet supports not only input from the pen, but your fingers as well. This makes panning around the canvas, zooming, rotating, and all of that really easy. The surface of the tablet does have some tooth to it, a bit more so than the Intuos 4, and more or less the same as the Deco Pro I had before. I like the feel of it. It gives a bit of resistance and control over the pen. But of course, your nibs are going to wear down a little bit faster. That's not a big deal to me. They're easy to replace, they're not very expensive. But there is a noticeable difference in the lifespan of them by comparison to something like the Intuos 3, where those nibs just seem to last forever. On the back side over here, I got this with the wireless kit, dongle and battery included, which you can find under these flaps here. The 2019 version though has got Bluetooth built in. On the side we have the mini USB port for connecting the tablet to your computer and to charge it for wireless use. On paper, you should get around 16 hours of charge. I haven't tested this, but on a full charge, I have noticed that I've pretty much got an entire day of wireless use from it. This came with the standard grip pen, really comfortable to use. It's got 2 buttons on the side and then the eraser on the back. For some, that's an important feature, but in all honesty, I never use it. I'd rather just switch my tools using the keyboard shortcuts. It's got 2048 levels of pressure sensitivity. This is more than enough. Now most tablets today are coming out with between 4000 and 8000 levels of pressure sensitivity. Even the Intuos 3, which only had 1024 levels, that was plenty. I really didn't feel like I needed a bigger range than that to get varied line weight. What I do think is more important though is the initial activation. And that's something that got leveled up quite a bit with the Intuos 4 onwards. So with that, the amount of force needed for a stroke to register is incredibly low. And I think with that, you can feel that pressure range much better. Also included was this pen holder. And if you unscrew the bottom here, we've got the spare nibs and a nib remover. There's a USB-A to mini USB cable, which is about 2 meters in length. There's a quick start guide in this box here and the driver disc. When it comes to the driver, go to the Wacom website, go to their drivers page and type in the model number of your tablet. Don't just download the latest driver if you're using an older tablet. Type in the model number and you'll get the right driver for your operating system. Cool, so that's the tablet. Let's take a quick look at those driver settings actually. This is going to be old hat and all familiar for those of you who've worked with Wacom tablets before, but for those who haven't, let's just show you what to expect. Okay, Wacom tablet properties here. The first thing when you open it up that you'll see is that you can change your express keys. And they can be changed to different keyboard strokes, different navigation functions, different modifiers like Alt and Control, that kind of thing. And if at any point you kind of forget what you've programmed them to, you can just put a finger on one of the buttons without pressing it, and it'll bring up this sort of side display which tells you what you programmed them to, and will highlight the one that your finger's on at the moment. The touchscreen as well, you can change some of the settings there, also set different keystrokes, and you can also adjust the sensitivity when you're set on those different functions. When you push the toggle button in the middle, you'll get this display here again telling you which function you're busy changing to. On the wireless side of things, you can just set after what period of inactivity your tablet will go to sleep. Then there's the on-screen controls, and this is quite nifty as well, especially if you're using quite a wide range of different functions. You can get on-screen menus pop up that are triggered by one of the buttons on your tablet, and that'll bring up a menu with a range of additional functions. Now for me, with a pretty straightforward process, I don't need this at all, but I can see dabbling a little bit in 3D, and even with doing stuff with video and maybe a bit of streaming, this kind of tool can be quite nice to have. In terms of touch input on the drawing surface itself, you can play a bit here with the sensitivity and the different gestures that are available. I've turned this feature off because the way I work, it just causes my cursor to be all over the place. But this is quite a nice, easy way to navigate around the canvas, especially when you get used to working on something like the iPad and you're used to just pinching to zoom around and pan around your canvas. Not at all important, not necessary. Like I said, I don't really use it at all, but it is nice to have. In terms of the pen, you can adjust the pressure sensitivity or the feel of the tip. I tend to move this over to the softer side just by a notch, and that means that I won't have to apply as much pressure to get a bolder stroke. In theory, that helps to preserve your nibs a little bit as well. You can adjust the sensitivity of the tilt here and what your pen buttons are programmed to. I set my front pen button to Alt, which is my eyedropper tool in Photoshop. Just a convenient way to have that placed. You can make some changes to the eraser as well. And then there's the mapping. Now, if you are left-handed or right-handed, this is where you're going to set the tablet accordingly. If you're left-handed, you're going to want your express keys on the right. Some people even like to have their monitor in a vertical format, and here you can set your tablet's orientation to match that as well. If you're using two monitors, by default with a lot of the ones that I've used, it tends to map the edges of the tablet across both screens rather than just the one that I tend to be drawing on. So this is where you're going to make that adjustment as well. And like I said, for all of these you can set different profiles for each application that you're working in. And that's about it. Let's do a quick pen test. Okay, I've got a pretty standard hard round brush here, set to change size with pressure. Let's have a quick look at how that performs. Really nice. Quick strokes as well, it handles very well. No weird blobs at the beginning, or there's not much in the way of sort of shoestringing at the end. If we change over to adjust opacity with pressure, you'll see that transition is also really nice and smooth. Now let's try a slow angled line. I'm going to use a book here as a ruler because I know my hand has a bit of wobble to it. I'm quite happy with that. It's got a tiny bit of wobble, but I know the book isn't the best thing to use. Just didn't have a ruler on hand at the time of doing this. But when you're doing much quicker strokes, you're definitely not noticing any of that wobble. Okay, let's roll out with a quick painting of a red panda using this tablet here. Well, there you have it. That's the Wacom Intuos Pro Medium, the 2013 version. I love this tablet. It's been great to use. It's my daily driver now. As I mentioned, this is probably not necessary for beginners, certainly not new as your first drawing tablet. If you happen to find one of those secondhand that's in good working condition and that's at a really good price, then I would say go for it. If you are a serious beginner, you know you want to do this as a career down the line, and you are really invested in growing your skills and making this work. If you are starting out and you're looking for a brand new device, I would say rather go for the base Intuos, or maybe the Deco 01 V2 from XP Pen, which is going to be significantly cheaper, and then spend a bit more on learning. Schoolism twice a year does their seasonal sale, and there you can get an annual subscription and access to all these courses and amazing instructors for just $200. So I would say a pretty standard entry-level device and some good learning resources will set you up way better than putting all your resources into just an expensive device. I'd like to know what you think though, especially if you've used both the 2019 version and the 2013 one. I'm curious about how that drawing surface feels, if there's much of a difference. So let me know in the comments below. For now, that's all from me. I'm off to go do some more animal studies, which I'll be making a few videos about over here. Thank you very much for watching until the end here. If you have any questions about this tablet or others that I've reviewed, or if you have digital painting related topics that you'd like me to cover, then please do leave a comment below. Hopefully I can help you out. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. That's the end of the video. Bye!